Hello and welcome to History of Dragon Ball. Today we are looking at who the unexpected character in the newly announced Dragon Ball Super movie could be. I am sure everyone has heard the news by now, but just in case you have not, Toei announced on Goku Day that we will be getting a new Dragon Ball Super movie in 2022. One of the most intriguing parts of the announcement was where Toriyama wrote, "Be prepared for some extreme and entertaining bouts which may feature an unexpected character." An unexpected character. Now to me, that means one thing. This is the return of a character that we have somehow, somewhere seen before. So let us spend a little time today going through some of the possibilities to just who this could be, how it could be done, and how it could affect things later on. We'll not be able to go through all options today. These are probably just more of the more realistic and maybe just personal preference of choices for me. Let's start off with the subject that we've actually covered in a previous video, and this is the bringing back of Frieza's brother, Cooler. Now, I'll not go into as much detail as the others with this one, as I will link the previous video on this in the description below or in annotations on the video. But the idea of Frieza and Cooler teaming up after discovering that Cooler has been off on his home world perhaps, maybe because he has little interest in fighting, but somehow things bring them together, and then to the point that we could even get a Cooler and Frieza fusion to challenge the Goku and Vegeta fusions. That could just be awesome to see. But like I said, check out our other video on bringing Cooler back for a more in-depth look at a couple of different ideas on this one. So moving on, let us look at the idea of bringing back a character from Dragon Ball Z, and that would be Cell. Now, it is hard to say exactly how he could be brought back. The obvious answer to this is always to use the Dragon Balls in some way, but also, as he was an android, some super smart being could find a way to rebuild him after perhaps hearing about what he did. There was always something about Cell that I really liked as a villain. I mean, if you have the audacity to build a ring and just wait in it for days so that everyone else can prepare to face you, that just shows such levels of overconfidence and arrogance that I kind of tend to enjoy my villains having. I feel like bringing Cell back as well could be interesting in the sense of finally giving Gohan the chance to make his long-awaited return to the top, or at least close to the top. Bringing about the rematch of Cell vs Gohan could very much give Gohan that needed moment in the spotlight and give himself the opportunity to step up in a way that he has not had the opportunity to for a long time. As for how Cell could possibly end up at a level that could truly challenge any of them, well, we must remember that Cell can absorb beings. And he is also a super smart warrior. He could have returned, spent some time training or travelling to different planets to absorb all life he came across. There are ways he could raise up to the Saiyans levels without much effort due to the way that Dragon Ball tends to often write its stories. I mean, he does possess cells of Frieza, and look how quickly they got Frieza to improve himself in Resurrection X. That surely means Cell would possess the same level of potentials too, especially when you mix this with all the other cells that he has within him, which of course includes a lot of Saiyan cells. Now, as for how Cell could affect things in the long run, my guess would be that if he were chosen, then this would be more likely a one-off villain who would appear for the movie, get defeated, and then things would probably carry on as before with the Dragon Ball Super story. A bit more like the older Dragon Ball Z movies, but considered more canon. But that is my idea for Cell anyway. Now moving on, let's have a look at the idea of bringing a character who we met in Dragon Ball GT into the Super Canon storyline. Now, I will say with this option, I was torn between either Baby or Omega Shenron, but for this video, I'm going to go with Omega Shenron. The idea of the Shadow Dragons from Dragon Ball GT is one of the aspects of that show that I feel came across as a particularly good idea, even if not all aspects of it were delivered to its highest potential. The thought of the Z Fighters overusing the Dragon Balls and this having a negative effect in some way would surely help reduce the use and almost everlasting reliance on the Dragon Balls. Whereas in GT they had a villain from each of the Dragon Balls that got tainted, they could for sure change this into one being that came from all of the evil energy that has been raised from the sheer overuse of these Dragon Balls. And so, say hello to Omega Shenron. So obviously this introduction is quite self-explanatory as we've already gone through it, but to go with this, I feel it brings a good bit more tension for the future. One of the things I feel with this movie is that it has to be based after the Granola arc from the manga to really make any sense within the canon storyline. But that means that if they bring in the idea of the Dragon Balls basically getting poisoned from overuse, then it means in the future of the show that they could stop being so reliant on them. Maybe even making it so for a certain time after that they can no longer be used. Maybe that amount of time takes it beyond the time limit to be able to bring people back from the dead as well. So finally death might mean something again. Who knows? If it means that we can finally have a bit more tension in the show, I just think it's a good idea. After all, I have said it before in previous videos, but I will say it again here. The fact that we know the scenes with Oob at the end of Dragon Ball Z are still canon means that we basically know that there is no real danger to our heroes, as we know that they are still alive later on. So to finally get past that point in the story, to take away the easy solution of, oh, we could just wish them back time and time again, I feel would just be good for Dragon Ball as a whole. So that is why I believe Omega Shenron could be a very good idea for the villain to be brought back. So now, finally for today's picks, we're going to look at another of the older Dragon Ball Z movie villains, like they brought back Broly. And obviously we have already mentioned Cooler, but to bring back a new character to this video today, I'm going to go with Lord Slug. Yes, there are other characters like Janemba or Bojack or Hirundagan, but I feel like I could easily make another video on other character possibilities with this subject, so I'd rather not just cram them all into one. I'd rather give each character the proper thought they deserve. But anyway, like I said, my selection for this one is the Namekian Lord Slug. I covered in a previous video the story of the nameless Namekian, and his past would be linked to that of Lord Slug's. His original story was that he got sent to the planet Slug when that extinction event that hit planet Namek just got too bad. So he could easily be introduced in a similar way to what he was then. This way we could have a character like Piccolo be involved once again, as this is one of the main things that I would like to see, using some of the other characters more, not just as side gags or as quick victories for the main villain to show their power, but actually give them something important to do. Make it so they actually have some real effect on the story. So, obviously giving Piccolo and Lord Slug the link to their past and race could set this up nicely. An idea I had for this is that Lord Slug learned that his race had somehow survived on a faraway planet, and this causes a build-up of resentment inside him. He feels like he was abandoned by the other Namekians. They just left him on this faraway planet and never came back to rescue him or reveal themselves to him. And so, after training hard to become strong, as that's how it tends to go in Dragon Ball, Lord Slug then travels to the planet where the Namekians now live, and instead of killing them all, he learns of their ability to fuse and tricks them into fusing with him, therefore now gaining the strength of basically the entire Namekian race. Obviously, you could go for the trick idea or the forcing idea, but either way, they all now live within Lord Slug. And this is where he learns of Piccolo living on Earth. And so, he wants to complete the collection. He wants to fuse and absorb the power of any and all Namekians who live. He believes that they owe him that much after abandoning him as a child and never coming back to save him. This is then what brings him to Earth to try and convince Piccolo to join his cause. Of course, this does not work, and a fight follows. This could be another way to bring Gohan back into things as well, due to the Piccolo-Gohan connection. More realistic is that Vegeta and Goku come back to things, but the Piccolo Gohan thing would obviously be my preference. Now, as for how this one could affect things after the movie, I do not think it would massively. It would probably be more of a when it's done thing, like I previously mentioned with the Cell option. Maybe it gets mentioned in the future, but yeah, doesn't really have much of an effect on anything as such. Apart from maybe now that the Namekians have died out in this universe. But again, they do seem to come back time and time again, so who knows. And so, that is where my first lot of ideas for who that unexpected character could be. I do have more ideas of using the likes of people like Janemba, or even bringing Zamasu back, or even more. So, if you would like to hear any of those, please let me know in the comments below, and I will get on making a part 2 for you all. And so there we have it, a look into who this unexpected character could possibly be. In this video we have gone over Cooler, Cell, Omega Shenron and Lord Slug, and I feel like any of these could make a good movie. And it's probably also worth mentioning about the idea of whether this movie could actually focus on Moro or Granola. Now personally I do not think this will be the case, as I feel that they will just wait to bring the anime back for these, and not really rush the story of these within a movie. I also do not feel that they will do the same thing like they did back in the day with Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, where they basically just repeated the movie in the series, just expanded it a bit. I feel like there was too much disappointment in getting repeated content when people really just want more and more new stuff, so I just don't feel like Toei are going to go and do this again. So that is why I have not mentioned these two characters as potential possibilities. And so, I hope you enjoyed this video, and now that actually leads me at the end here for two questions for you all today, and they are: number one, which of my examples today would you enjoy the most if it came true? And secondly, would you like to see a part 2 to this video looking at more potential returning characters and just how, why, and where these things happen? Let me know your thoughts on both of these questions in the comments below. And now that we are at the very end of the video, I would ask, if you are enjoying the content here, please subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video, share the video if you really enjoy it, leave all your theories and thoughts below, and I will leave you here with a massive thank you if you have managed to reach the very end with me, and I will see you next time on History of Dragon Ball.